Hello, and welcome to the Alpha Male Podcast, the podcast where we talk about what it means to be an alpha male. Strong, dominant, in control, in the very image of the God that created us, and we don't apologize for that. With that, men, if today's episode sounds a little bit different, it's because my Rhodesian Ridgeback ate the microphone, so I'm just talking directly into the computer. Anyway, don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a review of the podcast. You want to skip the bio, skip around 3 minutes and 45 seconds from where it starts. That's about 7 little fast forward clicks on most of the apps, at least that I'm familiar with. First and foremost, I am a servant of God, preacher, a fisher of men. God is number one in my life, and everything that I do in this podcast is no different, and I don't apologize for that. A little bit about me in the background. I grew up, I guess what you would consider a heathen. Didn't grow up a Christian, but I grew up in the southeastern United States, what most would consider very poor. Hunting and fishing and shooting. Joined the Marine Corps at 17, did a couple of combat tours in Iraq. After my combat tours in Iraq, I was an urban warfare instructor for the United States Marine Corps under Mojave Viper. I also served in law enforcement for several years in LAPD. I worked patrol assignments and more specialized assignments, where by God's grace, He got me through some nasty places in this world of war zones and some of the nastiest streets in the country. Not because I am better, because God chose to have mercy on me and had a purpose for me, and I'm thankful for that. After my time in law enforcement, I was a private contractor for federal government, for a 3-letter government agency I won't specify, doing private contracting work. I'm very much involved in guns and gunfighting. I also served in the U.S. Army, both full-time and part-time National Guard. I should say my primary MOS is in both branches of the military or infantry, as of one sort or another. Specialized infantry in the Marine Corps and an MOS that no longer exists. I started competition shooting even before I joined the Marine Corps at 17. I won my first gold medal even before I joined the Marine Corps at 17. I've been blessed by God with the talents He's given me to win more shooting competitions than I can remember. I've won most of my competitions in rifle and pistol, but I've also competed in archery and shotgun and even muzzleloader, knife throwing, hatchet throwing. I've competed in all that. I've also been a professional big game hunter and guide. Like I said, I grew up hunting and fishing and shooting. I've done it to put meat on the table because I like to put food on the table with the talents God's given me. I don't apologize for that. I've done it as a professional hunter and guide. I've slain all manner of beast and guided for all manner of beast. Bear and wolf and elk and deer, mule deer, whitetail deer. I've slain ram and fallow deer and countless animals. And I don't apologize for that either. FBI certified, firearms instructor, NRA, and a bunch of other 3-letter government agency certifications. Blessed be the Lord my rock, who trains my hands for war and my fingers for battle. Psalm 144. I've been blessed to be the commander of a tactical team, an SRT, special response team, in a large metropolitan area, where our primary job was to stop active shooters. But again, first and foremost, I'm a servant of God, called by God to share the good news, preacher, a fisher of men. With that, we will roll into the day's topic. All right, men. If you read the title of this, you know that today's episode is about getting into working out. I should say before we start that there's a whole other episode on working out. I would encourage you to go back and look that up. It is one of the early episodes of the Alpha Male podcast, and I would consider one of the iconic Alpha Male episodes. I got to thinking tonight about all the men that weren't working out and trying to put myself in their shoes. Being an alpha male doesn't mean belittling others or thinking that everybody is like me or should be like me. I got to thinking that there may be some men out there that have never stepped foot in the gym, that have never really worked out. Their, closest likeness to working out might have been playing dodgeball in gym class. And that kind of sparked the episode for today. Praise God. Now let me start with this. You are not a body. You have a body. You are a spiritual being. Your body is a tent, a temporary dwelling. You are a spirit that dwells in a body. That is most important, the spiritual aspect. To have a strong body, you must first have a strong spirit. Your spirit forces your body to do things that it doesn't want to do, that it doesn't feel like doing. You beat your body into submission as an alpha male. A strong spirit first, and then stem from that, a strong body. If you need anything, if you lack anything, I will tell you the same advice I would tell you for anything else. Go to the one that has everything, the source of all good things, the one that can give anything. Go to God, pray about it, ask for strength, ask for a strong spirit, ask for determination, for perseverance, for courage, whatever the thing is. The next thing I'm going to say is you don't need a lot to work out. The gyms are nice, I'm not going to lie. I like big gyms. I'm right now in a small place in the country, and I generally either work out at home or go to a small gym. Big gyms are nice. They have their advantages. I'm not going to lie about that. But you don't need it. In fact, I will try and remember to put in a picture of me during COVID when we were working out at home. There's also been times where I worked out in Iraq, during the war. Obviously, without a gym, with very little. There are times when I've worked out in nature with rocks, literally. Let me start out by saying you don't even really need any weights. If you look at what I'm going to consider the big three, running and or hiking, pull-ups and push-ups, if that was all you did, and you did that consistently and to failure and pushed yourself, you would be in good shape. Again, running / and or hiking, pull-ups and push-ups. Is that the best? I'm telling you that's all you ever need? I'm telling you if that's all you did, and you did it consistently and to failure, you would be in good shape. A lot better shape than most Americans or most Westerners. I would consider that the big three. If you wanted to go for the next one, I would throw in some kind of ab sit-ups, something like that in there. If you listen to the bio, you know that I served in the U.S. Marine Corps and the U.S. Army. And really the only equipment that you need for that, for the Marine Corps, is a pull-up bar. And for the Army, really, you don't need anything. And again, I'm not saying that's what you should do. I'm saying that shows you that you don't need a bunch of stuff. You don't need a bunch of money. You need to pray. You need dedication. You need to overcome adversity. You need to push yourself. But weights do help. So I'm going to tell you something I shouldn't have to. Something we all already know because we used it when we were children. A thing called imagination. You don't need a nice matching set of dumbbells or a complete weight set or a Las Vegas Athletic Club, which is probably one of my favorite gyms of all time when I lived in Las Vegas. It's a great gym. Huge, multi-level, inside running track, swimming pool. It's great. I'm not going to say I didn't like it, and I'm not going to say it's not good to have all that stuff, but you don't need it. When we were kids, we had imagination. And you still have it. You just elect not to use it a lot of times. But let's use it now on making workout equipment. First of all, I'll say most of you can probably afford, if you're honest with yourselves, to go out and buy a kettlebell or two. And a good heavy kettlebell, you can do a lot of exercises and do a lot of things with just that kettlebell. Or if you're going to go out and buy something, and I thought these were a gimmick for a long time until COVID, but the workout bands. You can get them at Walmart for like $15, or I mean that was pre-inflation. Who knows what they cost now? But I'm probably on my third set because I'll buy them and add to the ones that I have, and when they snap, I'll just replace them with a whole other set. They're so cheap. But you can do a lot. You can just look up on YouTube or whatever, probably Instagram, decent exercises for exercise bands. And like I said, I thought they were a gimmick for probably 20 years. But they're not. They actually work, and they're cheap, and they're effective. They're easy to travel with. So I'd say a decent kettlebell and or resistance bands. They're what you're thinking of. They're like a giant rubber band or a giant slingshot band, a giant pieces of rubber tubing. Again, use your imagination. How about rocks? Go find rocks. Go to a stream. Go to somewhere where there's rocks that are free, that are on, that are free rock as a rock. Get a couple of different ones of a couple of different weights. The more you get to working out, the more you'll know what the appropriate amount of weight is. But rocks. You know what's a pretty good kettlebell, or would make a pretty good kettlebell? A cinder block with a rope tied on it. What is that if not a kettlebell? If you can't afford a kettlebell, it'd be hard for me to believe that you can't afford a cinder block at Home Depot or wherever. A cinder block with a piece of rope. If you don't have a piece of rope, again, imagination. Find an old appliance that's not working. Get an old power cord or an old extension cord. Something we would use in Iraq, and you could use here too, is get a coffee can and fill it with cement. A bag of cement is not super expensive. Take a coffee can, the big coffee cans, the little coffee can, get one of each. Get a piece of rope, tie a knot on each end, lay the knots inside there so you make a loop, and pour some cement in there. And you have a weight. If you do that with two of them and you get a straight piece of pipe or engineering stake, those little metal fence posts that are not very expensive, if you do that, then you have a dumbbell and or a barbell, depending on how long you make it. You know what makes a really good dumbbell/barbell mix? A log. You can probably find a log. If not, maybe you know somewhere that sells, like some in the back of somebody's truck that sells firewood, and ask them if you can buy one round. Usually sell it by the cord, a truckload full. They might just give it to you, but you say, hey, what do you want for? Pick one that looks like it's good for working out. What do you want for that log, that round? Get one that's thick enough, that's usually come in 18-inch pieces, sometimes 12. A log, it's a decent weight. How about a 5-gallon bucket filled with water? If water weighs 8 pounds per gallon, it's a 5-gallon bucket. You got 40-pound weight right there with a handle on it, already ready to go. You want a 20-pound weight, you dump half the water out. It's not rocket science. If you have access to sand, if you live near a beach or something where you have access to sand or sandy soil, fill the bucket up with sand. That's a good weight, and you can swing it just like a kettlebell and do all kinds of exercises with it. If you got two, then bam, you're in business. We did this in the military more than I'd like to remember, I think. Getting ammo cans. If you're listening to this, a lot of you are shooters. You're into shooting. You probably have ammo cans. You probably know where to get ammo cans. Get an ammo can and fill it with sand. Fill it with rocks. That's a good weight. That's like a square kettlebell. It's got a handle right on it. You can swing it. You can carry it. You can run with it. You can throw it in a cheap backpack and do wind sprints with it. You can do pull-ups with it on. I can't even comprehend all the grueling workouts privates in whatever military have had to do with ammo cans. But an ammo can is, if you don't have one lying around for free, they're what, $5 used, $10 used, $15 used, depending on the size. So you're $15 and fill it with rocks. And what's a 5-gallon bucket at Home Depot? I don't know, but it's probably not $15. If after all that you're still saying none of that works and you can't do it, then you should probably go listen to another podcast because you're not an alpha male. You can make something work if you want to. All right, man. So, again, I had to go back and think back because, by God's grace, I've been working out pretty consistently since high school. So that was over 20 years ago, well over 20 years ago. I'm working out consistently, except for maybe brief periods during the hottest parts of the war. So I'm trying to go back and bring this back to the basics. But we talked about, the big three: running, push-ups, pull-ups. With some of the weights we talked about, or resistance bands, or rock, or log, or whatever, some exercises that you can do. I'm going to explain, a curl, your fundamental bicep exercise. Is usually some variation of a curl, whether that's a preacher curl at a gym with a specific machine. But I'm basically going to explain to you what a curl is. Take your weight, your rock, your log, your kettlebell, whatever. You hang your arm straight down. Weight's probably going to be somewhere between your legs. You're going to keep your upper arms straight on your body. You're going to bend at the elbow and lift the weight up until it touches your chest. You're going to lower it, controlled, back down to your arms fully extended between your legs and raise it up again. That's a basic curl. The bicep, the front part of your arm. Now for the back part of your arm, your tricep. You take that same weight, you lift the weight up over your head, straight up in the air. So your arms are straight up above your head and fully extended and joined, grabbing the weight. And then you, again, keep your arms from your shoulders to your elbow. You keep that straight. You lower the weight behind your head till you get it down behind your head, and then you lift it up again till your arms are at full extension. And repeat. That is a tricep extension. Let's talk about a basic squat. Depending on your weight or even no weight, you can just hang your arms at your side, put your feet shoulder width apart, bend your knees, and then literally squat down until your legs are at 90 degrees or even farther if you can get them there, and stand straight back up and repeat. Even if you don't have any weight, if you do it long enough, you're going to build muscle. If you have a weight, you can do the same way you started out with the curl, just holding the weight, or you can start where you finished with the curl with the weight up against your chest and just cradle it and do the same thing. Bend down and stand straight back up. It's not rocket science. So now you got biceps, triceps, and legs. You want to do a back exercise, you bend over, stand straight up, and then lean your head forward, bend over at the waist. You grab your weight on the ground and you pull your arm back to your chest. You can do it with one arm at a time or two arms, and that's a basic row. A row is a decent back exercise. On most of these, you'll also work other muscles, but the primary muscle you're going to work there is back muscles. And then we talked about the pull-up is probably one of the best, if not the best, back exercise and good all-around body exercise. And then you have chest, a basic push-up. I'm not going to go on how to do a pull-up and a push-up. I think anybody listening to this knows how to do a pull-up and a push-up. Now, you're probably not going to do this stuff perfectly when you first start out. Your form's probably going to need improvement. You're probably going to do the wrong amount of weight. It's okay. It's much more important that you do something, that you show up and put out. That's far more important. The guy that grabs a rock and does curls with it, would it be better with a set of dumbbells? Yeah, sure it would. But the guy with a set of dumbbells that does it half-heartedly and doesn't push himself, the guy that grabs a rock and does curls till failure, till it feels like he's going to throw up, that guy's going to get bigger muscles, whether or not he's got the best equipment. and this varies depending on what you want, but if you're just starting out, I'd say this is a good rule of thumb for those exercises, 3 sets of 10. It's any kind of weight exercise. Now, you might not be able to do this depending on the weight setup that you have. If you got to the 10th one and you think you could have done more, then your weight's probably not heavy enough. You should, but somewhere in that 3 sets of 10. But if you do that, those exercises, 3 sets of 10, that's not a bad workout. There's an Alpha Male episode on working out. There's also one on nutrition. I don't want to make this episode super long by going into that. I want to spend that time talking about this. If you say, it's easy for you to say. I would say that when I started out high school, I was a fat kid. I don't mean like a little chubby. I mean like I was unhealthily fat. I was fat, overweight. I don't remember exactly because I honestly don't want to remember really, but I lost something like 60 pounds my freshman year. You can say what you want, like, well, it's easy to lose weight when you're young. It's never easy to lose 60 pounds in a couple of months. It's not. Yeah, I guess you're right. It is easy to say, but it's not easy to do. You just have to man up and do it. I remember, and again, this is my freshman year, so how old are you in freshman year, however old you are in the 9th grade? I walked into, it was the first year they were going to have it at our school. First year they were going to have wrestling. And I walked in to the room where they were having this thing to sign up for wrestling. And I was a fat kid. I remember when we first started running, we had this track. We were supposed to run this course. We were supposed to run around town. I couldn't even run to the first turn. I distinctly remember that, not being able to run to the first turn in that course. And although, by God's grace, I had the determination because I certainly had not good knowledge of how the human body worked, not good knowledge of nutrition. Looking back at now, the nutritional stuff that I did in advice, it was horrible. But if you have determination, if you stick with it, you can do it. And again, by God's grace, except for very hot times during the war, being deployed overseas in Iraq and that, I've pretty much been working out consistently for 20-something years. And by God's grace, I've been working out for another 20-something years. There was a time after that where I had a very severe life-threatening injury where I was literally couldn't walk. Except for the one day that I was in the hospital, I still worked out every day even though I couldn't walk. I could do curls, I could do abs, I could do resistance bands. I don't want to hear about why you can't do it. I want you to do what you can do. That's the mark of an alpha male. We all start somewhere. Now, I don't care if you're 14 or 54. We talked about your spirit being most important, but your body is a gift. It was given to you. Somebody gives you something and you respect that person, you take care of what they gave you. God gave you a body. It's a great gift. Take care of it. It's not the most important thing, but it's the body that you have. It's going to bring us to the tactical tip of the day. The tactical tip of the day. One thing I didn't mention in this a lot is abs. Well, there's an ab workout I used to do back, again, when I was in high school, when I started getting serious into working out. It's on YouTube. I did it tonight. It's called 8-Minute Abs. Some of you might remember. I remember pushing the VHS in. I remember it being a VHS tape that I had. Anyway, that video is on YouTube. It's 8-Minute Abs. Could you probably get a better ab workout? Yeah. And I'll be honest, I did that after I had done some other ab exercises, but it's still a good ab workout. It's 8 minutes long. And if you do it, it will work. Again, you have to do it. If you're looking for somewhere to start and you need like something, try 8-Minute Abs. It's actually 9 minutes because there's like an intro and stuff, but you're telling me of all the crap you've done today, you don't have 9 minutes? I did it tonight at the gym. It's not my most common ab workout by far, but I do it from time to time, do it with the wife from time to time. It's been around a long time, and I did it tonight before recording this podcast when I was thinking about it, because again, I don't want to be a hypocrite, and it's still a good ab workout. If you want to know where to start there. Again, it probably 9 minutes, 9.5 minutes from start to finish. You're telling me you don't have 9.5 minutes in your day? Anyway, tactical tip of the day, 8-minute abs. To bring us to the tactical verse of the day. Before we get into a tactical verse, I want to remind you that God is the giver. Pray. He is the source of all strength. You are made in the image of God. God is strong. And that entails much more than physical strength, but God is strong. He is powerful. You are made in the image of God. And that brings us to the tactical verse of the day. In the image of God, He created them. Male and female, He created them. Don't forget that. Be strong and have a blessed day. Postscript. I'd already posted this, waiting for it to publish, and a thought occurred to me. The thought that for some of you, the exercises I gave, even that might be the best place to start. I'd say wherever you start, pick a goal. Maybe that's going on a hike after work and then doing a max set of push-ups or 3 max sets of push-ups. Maybe your goal is being able to do 1 push-up. And I'm not belittling that. I'm not putting that down. Alpha males don't put other males down. Alpha males make other men stronger. If your goal is to do 1 push-up, you keep trying until you can do 1 push-up. Then make your goal 2 push-ups. But set a goal and keep working towards it. Keep pushing. Keep praying. You are strong. Because you are made in the image of God. You just have to make your body realize it. With that, have a blessed day.